Welcome back to the water tank project part 2. I want to apologize because this did not start out as a video project. So as a result of that, you might find that it doesn't have a coherent and complete video narrative. But when all is said and done, hopefully you'll find that the tank is half full. So let's get on with it. I want to say a word about the person we bought the tank from. His name is Cliff. He's in his 80s, and he's one of the coolest guys you ever wanted to meet. He was energetic and to the point and straightforward, and really colorful guy too. We made an offer on the tank when we first saw it, and he called us back maybe 6-8 weeks later with a counter offer. And I was a little surprised by the offer, and I asked him, "Are you sure? You're good with the price?" And he said to us, well, he said to me on the phone, he said, "Well, it's sitting here in my yard and I can't eat it," so, which was really one of the best things I'd ever heard in my life. So, and then he drove the tank down from Ceres to our place in the foothills, about an hour and a half drive on a single axle semi-truck, pretty oversized load. And after he delivered it and set it in place, he didn't want to leave. We were sitting on the deck together, and we gave him some food and talked about the fact that he used to go fly fishing here in some of the streams in the foothills nearby. And the fact that he liked us, the fact of getting the stamp of approval from a guy like him, it really made us feel good. It was just a pleasure in every way. Doing business with him. And actually he has another tank which is identical to the one we purchased, and we'd like to buy it from him, but we've got a few things to get in order first. But hopefully we see Cliff again sometime. When I'm doing projects, one of the things I really like to do is use the iPhone camera as a useful tool. So a lot of times I'll take photos. They say if you're going to go to the supply house or the hardware store or whatever, always bring the parts with you. And sometimes that's not feasible, but you can always take a photo, and you can also scale it using a tape measure or a caliper, and so that when you go to the supply house, you just make one trip, because there's no question about the size of the hardware, the size of the fitting, the sequence of the fittings, or anything like that. So here's a few photos of how I plumbed in the water tank, and you get an idea of how I use the phone. It's kind of a useful tool. This is a quickie video of the Rainwater collection system. If I had more patience and more time, I would have videotaped and documented the whole process. But basically, we used to collect at 4 downspouts into a 275-gallon IBC container, but that was too much of a pain in the ass. So I eliminated 2 of the downspouts. I plugged them, one on the front and one on the back. And now you can see there's 2 downspouts on the gutters. And they do still have a so-called first flush system, whereby the rain fills up this tube and a ball floats up on the top of the water. And then the ball blocks that T-junction, causing the dirty water that came first to remain in this pipe and eventually drown out through a leak hole. And the clean water makes its way into an IBC. In the IBC there's a float switch, and the float switch activates this motor here. Activates this motor. It's 220 volts. It pumps very quickly. That's where the relay is, the electrical connections. And then it goes out this 1.25 inch discharge pipe. That's, by the way, a 2-inch intake pipe. 90s, and then it kicks to a 90, and then that reduces, actually I'm sorry, that's a 1-inch pipe. That's an 1.25 inch fitting up there, but this discharge is a 1-inch discharge. And so that's how it works. PVCs were originally wrapped in plastic to prevent algae growth. But in this application, there's never going to be water sitting there for a long time. So in order to have a sight gauge as to the water level, I tore the black PVC off. Coming in a bit closer, that is the low level when the pump shuts off, based on the way I've installed the float switch. And then this here is where the pump shuts off, or I'm sorry, when the pump turns on to start pumping down until it reaches that level, and then the pump shuts off. So that's its range. I've measured it, it's about 23 inches, and it took about 12 minutes to pump that amount of water out, even though I had the garden hose running and feeding the container to simulate rainwater coming in. So even with water coming in at about probably 15 to 20 gallons per minute, it pumped down 23 inches, probably about 150 gallons in a matter of 12 minutes. It rains when you're working and don't want it to rain, and then once you have it installed, it stops raining. And in fact, the weather calls for no more rain till next weekend when we're here again. So I put this pop up here so I could work semi-dry. It was still cold and damp, occasionally wet. This triangular pad I used because I had triangles already built. This is a repurposed triangular configuration of 2x4s that were used to hold sonotube piers in place for an earlier concrete pour. So I just reused it. Figured I'd use the tripod principle. It'd be easy to keep level with 3 points instead of 4 points of attachment. The last thing I have to do is cover this so it doesn't get wet. This is not a wet rated pump motor, so it has to be kept in a dry place. You can see this tank has an 11,000 gallon capacity. This here is evidence of its previous use. It was used in some sort of agricultural processing that involved molasses. And there's an overflow pipe here. I believe it's a 4-inch overflow, and you can see the support for it right there because it runs internally. The pipe runs internally. And then I think anything that went above their fill level came down, discharged through this pipe. I'm still trying to get the molasses out of there. It's going to take some hot days. The pump, as you know, is switched on and off automatically by a float switch that's located in this IBC tote. And the entire thing is fed right here. It's temporarily wired in. I have SO cord, and you see water tank pump. There's probably going to be another pump there, which will pressurize an irrigation system at some point. But anyway, the electric is very close to the pump setup, which is close to the house, of course. Surprise! Honestly, I figured if you'd gone through 10 minutes of that video, all that jibber jabber, that I should at least personally thank you for watching it. Yeah, so as I explained at the outset, this was not supposed to be a video project, so there was not as much B-roll as there should have been. So I know it was not necessarily the most scintillating video, but I want to talk about that, why the videos are the way they are and why I make the videos. The videos are made mostly for friends and family, And the videos revolve around things that I do, that I enjoy doing. And so it's nice for them to kind of get a glimpse of those things that I enjoy in life and hold dear. Another reason I do videos is because I do have a degree in television broadcasting, and it seemed like I should probably put that to good use after spending all that money getting the degree. So this is a little bit of an outlet for that. That said, I am not a professional videographer. The things that I do in the videos are things that I just dabble in. So, I'm not purveying any sort of top shelf grade A content here. It's like I said, it's mostly done for friends and family. And we are weekenders out there on the land, and it is a vacation rental. So most of the projects are under the gun. We got to get in and out. Don't want to disrupt the renters. And so, when you're in a hurry to get stuff done, you don't always get it done the way you'd like to ideally. So that kind of enters into it. Again, not passing myself off as any sort of master craftsman or anything like that. But hopefully, like I said, the videos are enjoyable or interesting or have some value to you. So again, I wanted to thank you all for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.